Hello, 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 and a very good morning to everybody who's tuned into PTP World and I'm watching World this morning alongside my fantastic co-host Shiza Hashmi and myself, Shahzad Hassan Khan. For everybody who's tuned into 46 other countries or are living in 46 different countries and are tuned into PTP World, ladies and gentlemen, it's a good morning on the behalf of our entire team and all of those Pakistanis who are out there. Hello, Shiza, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great. Thank you so much for asking. And well, yes, I do realize this was sort of a little different opening. But why not, right? We're here with you sharing our mornings every other day, literally, of the week. Because on the weekends, even our shows are playing, right? So we thought maybe there should be something different. So
exactly. And I totally have something different for our viewers as well out there. Ladies and gentlemen, we usually start our day with a wonderful message which we want to give out to people. And yes, that's what we feel every day as well. But today, we just wanted it to be different. We just wanted our audience to feel something different as well, rather than probably predicting that this is something that they're going to do.
We're so predictable,
So
actually.
today what we're going to talk about is having probably weird dreams, you know, because just probably 2 or 3 days ago, ladies and gentlemen, I was sleeping, I wasn't really very well, and I had this dream where I was just blowing my nose, and I just kept on doing it, and it wasn't really working. So I thought to myself, while I was sleeping, while I was dreaming, that my nose is choked and I really need to clean it. I'm sorry if it's getting a little disgusting early in the morning, but it was a dream, and I kept on blowing and kept on blowing, and it didn't work out until the time I woke up. And I was like, hey, oh, thank God, my nose isn't blocked, and that I'm all good as well. So this was one weird dream which I had 2 days ago. Shiza, did you ever come across a weird dream?
I mean, of course, I think more usual than often, everyone does sort of come across such dreams as well. But, you know, where you said that you wanted to do something and you couldn't, I feel like dreams, in a way, are so restricting, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you want to do something, but then you couldn't as well. Unless and until, of course, you're DiCaprio and you're in Inception. Inception was the movie? Then you can literally plan what you want to do. But I think that is the beauty of dreams as well.
I think, okay, I'm going to pinpoint 2 things which I can not do in my dreams, no matter what happens, even if I sleep prepared for that.
Really?
So one is applying brakes to the car, and the other is if I'm, God forbid, punching somebody. I just cannot punch it. It's just in slow motion. And I just keep on thinking that why my hand's not going ahead? And it just doesn't work for me. What are those 2 things which does not work for you within a dream?
So many things coming to my mind, but I guess on top of my head...
The ones you can share on television.
Of course. Of course, yeah. Things that I can... Oh, I can never reach for my exam on time.
Really?
It's the worst thing. Like, something goes wrong. I'm either missing my pen and I rush back home and I'm like, oh, where's my stationery? Or either the car is not working. Something just happens, you know. I never make it on time.
And, you know,
and it's so frustrating, although, like, I'm not even studying anymore.
And I think there are a lot of people who are actually going to vote for this as well, because the guests over here are actually moving their heads like this as well.
Relatable.
So, so ladies and gentlemen, we just want you to have a great day as well, which is why we actually started on this note. But other than that, there's this one very important thing which we think that we need to share with people out there. Ladies and gentlemen, this gentleman we are talking about, it's his death anniversary today. And ladies and gentlemen, talking about this gentleman, he actually started his career back in 1975. He claims that, he used to claim that Ahmed Rushdie Saab actually played a very pivotal role in his career. And ladies and gentlemen, talking about, you know, this particular gentleman, I think he brings out a lot of memories as well, because if you may remember the song Salgera Ka Din Aaya Hai, you will remember him as well. Ladies and gentlemen, we are remembering him. We have a few visuals to share with you guys. So please, let's take a look. Go ahead.
ना मेरी सुबह ना मेरी शामें, ना मेरी सुबह ना मेरी शामें, मेरे जैसा इस दुनिया में कोई अकेला क्या हो.
Of November, ladies and gentlemen, we are observing his death anniversary. He was commonly known as A. Nayyar. Ladies and gentlemen, he was a Pakistani playback singer. He started his career in 1974 with a duet song. Nayyar was claimed famous singer Ahmed Rushdie.
he claimed that he actually, played a great role in developing his career as well. And where you mentioned 1974, it was the first time he appeared on TV on a show called Naye Fankar. I think it was a talent show. I'm not really sure. I'm just assuming. But that was where he made his debut and got really popular after that. And, well, he has quite a lot of accolades and awards to himself, including the Pride of Performance by the President of Pakistan, along with 5 Nigar Awards for playback singing as well. I mean, that's amazing.
And ladies and gentlemen, Nayyar was born in Chak number 148/9, Ransanabad, a small village in the Sahiwal district, to a Christian family. His childhood was spent in Arifwala, Punjab, Pakistan, and later he shifted to Lahore. He completed his matriculation from St. Francis High School, Lahore, and was admitted to former Christian college. Ladies and gentlemen, today the world remembers Mr. A. Nayyar, and may his soul rest in peace. And it is, I think, extremely important for all of us to actually know about our legends, ladies and gentlemen,
Definitely.
because for all of those nations who have forgotten about their legends, they have actually forgotten their path as well.
That is true. Thus, we try to, celebrate National Heroes on our show as much as we can. But other than that, Shahzad, well, for a few months now, we cannot actually avoid talking about COVID-19.
Yeah.
Because we wake up in a world every other morning where the pandemic still exists. A lot of people are still affected by it.
Yep.
Hundreds of people, unfortunately, are still losing their life because of
Exactly.
it. And, well, you know what, while we're, of course, because the thing is new, the information is new, while we're sort of getting our head around what to do and what not to do, I think it's really the worst for expecting mothers. Because they have
Exactly.
to take care for 2, right?
Exactly. I know where you're going, and ladies and gentlemen, this is something which we'll be talking about today as well. But there was this gentleman I was in conversation with over the phone,
Okay.
and he said something which totally was very logical, and I kind of had the acceptance for it as well. So I was in conversation, and I'm very thankful to Allah Almighty that, alhamdulillah, amidst COVID and all of these times, we still have a job. You know, we're working for people out there as well. We're entertaining people, because I've seen with my own eyes a lot of producers, directors, anchor persons have actually lost their jobs as well, and it's just because of how the course of things is lately.
Right.
And so I was in conversation with that gentleman, and he said that he was asking, Shahzad bhai, how are you? You know, how's works? I was like, alhamdulillah, my work works fine, but the extra cream work is not fine, because it includes a lot of public gathering, it includes a lot of people as well, because we go out to do events in different parts of the world, and that's just a no-no these days.
Yeah.
So, that gentleman said that, Shahzad bhai, if we make it out alive, I think that's what we really need to be thankful about.
Right.
And it stuck to me, and I was like, this is so true, that even in these times, if we can still survive, if we're going to have this very life with us, I think we'll still be able to do a lot of things, ladies and gentlemen, and I think that this is what everybody needs to think. This time, sooner or later, will be over, because we haven't heard about third wave, and we really do not want to even hear about the third wave as well. But coming back to your point, that it is a little difficult for expecting mothers as well, in the first place, because since I'm a father myself, so I kind of, I'll try, because obviously no man can actually be in the shoes of a woman who's actually expecting. No matter how much we try, no matter even if we say that we are expecting, that does not mean that, we both share the pain. It is always the women, it is always the mother-to-be, ladies and gentlemen. But yes, they do have their own psychological differences within those times as well. They do have their own health concerns. They do have their mood swings, and there's so many different things which they might be feeling,
Right.
which I cannot feel. But we over here, ladies and gentlemen, today want our mothers to actually protect themselves,
Absolutely.
keep themselves safe, and what are those practices with which they can actually look after the health of their baby, which is yet to be born, and their own selves as well.
Absolutely, and it actually requires a lot of contribution from all the family members, right?
Exactly.
Of course, so it's not just the mother who has to be careful, everyone around her needs to be careful as well. And the best part about this show is we actually have first-hand questions from mothers who are expecting.
Wow.
So I think this is going to be really helpful for everyone who's watching.
Yeah.
Without further ado, let's just dig deeper into the conversation.
And before we do that, there's one more observation, ladies and gentlemen, and this is not something which we decided as a team,
Okay.
but then gradually, we came around this as well, that, I've seen recently a lot of my friends getting married, but unfortunately, they can't get pregnant, and they are in distress as well. But why is it becoming so common that
Right.
people are having trouble in making sure that they are going to, get
Conceive.
pregnant or conceive as well. So I think that this is one topic which we want to start our conversation with, and then gradually we'll move towards the health of the mother and the baby
Definitely.
itself as well. But first things first, because over here in Pakistan, there's a lot of stigma around this thing. Men do not get themselves tested as well, and unfortunately, I think that this is not a great thing. Anyways, I think both the partners need to do that.
Yeah.
And what I know for sure is that testing for males is even cheaper than testing for females. So,
Really?
ladies and gentlemen, I think that the first step, anyways, needs to be the testing for the male. So,
right.
ladies and gentlemen, without any further ado, we're very lucky that we've actually been joined by the experts of the field. So first up, ladies and gentlemen, we're very lucky that we've actually been joined by a consultant gynecologist from PIMS, ladies and gentlemen. She is Professor Saida Batul Mazhar Saiba. Hello, ma'am. Assalamu alaikum. Good morning.
Walaikum salam. Thank you
That's
so
a
much.
lovely smile you're wearing. Thank you very much for
Thank you.
joining us. It's wonderful to have you. And alongside Professor Saida Saiba, ladies and gentlemen, we're very lucky that we've actually even been joined by a public health specialist, and she happens to be Dr. Saida Sabah Aslam. Hello, assalamu alaikum. Good morning.
Thank you so much. Walaikum salam.
Thank you very much for joining us. It's wonderful to have you. Let's get the conversation started. So a lot of men and women getting married these days, a lot of youngsters, in fact, getting married these days are having a lot of difficulty in conceiving. Why is it so?
I might not disagree with you regarding this feeling that we are getting more infertility.
Yeah.
I think we are very focused towards strengthening the marriage with having a baby, and that is our culture. We somehow feel that the bond becomes stronger and the girl settles in and they are now in a family.
Yeah.
So we see a lot of couples coming into us 2 months married, 6 months married, and they're saying we're not having a baby.
Yeah.
So they're supposed to just enjoy
Calm down.
life, calm down, and they should wait it out for at least 1 year.
Well, I hope
At
my
least
family
1
members
year.
are listening.
And in the West, if you go to a consultant at 1 year, they'll say, wait another year. We'll meet after another year. Because, medication, testing, should it be done? Because 85% of couples will get a pregnancy in 1 year.
Okay.
So why not wait for a year? It will happen. But it is not really often the couple. It is the families,
Right.
the girl's mother, the boy's mother, the Masi who visits every day and
who
prays that you have a son, That's the constant pressure our girls go through.
Absolutely.
So I don't think it is increasing, but I'm sure with the Google knowledge there, people are worried from the first month, why is it not happening to me? That my cousin got married the same day.
Yeah.
She is pregnant, but 6 months have passed, I'm not pregnant. And there are lots of people who are general practitioners and they're very keen and aggressive and they start treating.
Yeah.
So when they come to me after a year of marriage, I say, there's nothing left for me to do. You've already had everything when you were not needing it.
Right,
So there are two sides of the picture.
All right.
But there are some couples who are experiencing infertility, and so we have to be careful before we label somebody as infertile.
Right. So,
Alright.
like,
So-
just to wait.
yeah.
Sorry, it's sort of a comment. So, waiting sort of the first year, or at least 1 or 2 years, it's normal, and does not necessarily mean that there must be something wrong with one of them.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But if there is something wrong, they should approach the doctor earlier if they can obviously see. And the
Okay.
most important thing that most of us tend to forget is that we have a lot of people living abroad.
Yeah.
We have a husband living in Saudi Arabia,
Yeah.
and
Oh,
he
couples
just
who live
came for a
apart?
month,
Yeah.
and then he comes every 2 years for a month. And there is tremendous pressure on the couple to produce a child,
Yeah.
which is not really fair.
But it always happens, though, in Pakistan. Isn't that the story?
Majority do conceive. We are very lucky, but some do not.
Exactly.
And then it is nobody's fault. It is the circumstances,
Of course.
the job situation in our country where people have to go abroad if they do not get good employment here. So that is a big dilemma
Exactly.
that we face.
That's true. And for all of those people who are expecting that they'll be producing babies via Bluetooth, ladies and gentlemen, please don't do that. All right. You really need to take some time off, come back to your country, be with your wife, and work it out. But other than that, moving on to you, Dr. Saida, what I want to ask is, obviously, I wasn't actually referring to infertility. I was referring to the women not settling down or the kind of lifestyles we have over here in Pakistan, and they're changing tremendously. There was a time when people were talking about fitness, but amidst COVID, we have seen that people, it's just a sedentary lifestyle, staying at home, sitting down, and still ordering food from outside, not cooking. So do you think that this kind of lifestyle will have an impact on your fertility in any way?
Oh yes, definitely. First of all, like the discussion that you were just having, I would like to clarify that I never like the term infertility to be used for the couple. We always use the term subfertility. No couple should be labeled infertile, and that also according to the the definition by WHO. For the first year, you don't have to label anybody anything, and it's always the couple and not just the women or the men. We always say that the couple is subfertile, and there could be reasons, there could be many reasons behind that, there could be many causes, but all those are manageable, and sometimes simple things like changing your lifestyle or just getting it off your head. Many times we have seen that people who stop trying for it, from trying, and we have been trying really hard. Once they adapt a child, or they give up, or they go on a vacation, they conceive. So why is that so? Because when you work really hard for something, that stress in fact brings the negative things, and the body is made so much dependent on your psychological hormones that you produce, the endorphins, the happy hormones and all that. So that really impacts the whole system, all your hormones, and you know that the fertility and to conceive you need to have your ovaries, the uterus, everything working in a system, and same goes for the men. And I would also like to highlight that the causes are equal from both the sides. It's 50% from the men's side and 50% from the women. We always tend, you just mentioned also, that we always tend to inquire and investigate the women first, and we go for the ultrasounds or the expensive tests, like you told me. But always it's the couple which should be investigated, and the causes are equal on both the sides. And now coming to your second question, the main question, that what impact this COVID can have on our psychological. Well, first of all, I would say that the women who are trying to conceive or who have conceived, Alhamdulillah, up till yet there is no such evidence of any vertical transmission from the mother to the baby. So, and Alhamdulillah, there is no teratogenic evidence yet also. So these are some good news, and in fact the baby, there was investigation on the cord blood, and it was seen that the fetus of the COVID positive mother, they developed the IgM antibodies themselves. So that was a very good thing, because we all know that the IgM antibodies cannot cross the placental barrier. So it was the baby who developed the antibodies. So that's a very good news. Yes. So the fetus or the baby is developing the antibodies against COVID. So these are something I think the viewers can relax with these, that it's okay, no evidence of teratogenicity, no evidence of vertical transmission from the mother to the baby. You can carry out with your normal lifestyle, obviously with the protective measures. No evidence of passing it on in the breast milk. So please do not separate the baby from the mother, especially in the first few days. That's the best. There's no alternate, or the benefits of breast milk cannot be
only if the mother's willing. These days I don't really see a lot of mothers willing to actually breastfeed their kids as well. I mean,
no, that should, nothing can,
beat
be
that
the
sort
alternate. Yes, because
but what is it with women who are not breastfeeding their kids?
I think
Maybe the
majority of women,
they don't know the
especially the
benefits of
doctors,
it.
those who know the benefits, they are extremely committed. So I think the message needs to go through such programs like these, that even if you're COVID positive, you deliver a baby, you're supposed to breastfeed. And you obviously wear a mask so that the baby is protected. And you breastfeed, maintain cleanliness, wash your hands, and you feed your baby, because that is where immunity is going to travel. Immunity, you have antibodies traveling in the milk to the baby directly. So that is such an advantage. And the message that I would like to send to our girls is, exclusive breastfeeding for 6 months is like you've given the baby a head start. And that's what every mother wants.
Yes.
That's nice. But ma'am, you know what, now that we are talking about mothers who are expecting during the pandemic especially, it's really hard for someone to make a decision to go to the hospital to see a doctor nowadays especially, right? And in such condition, I don't think an online session would do justice as well, right? So first of all, I think it's justified, the paranoia, but what should we do in such a case? Where do we go?
I think the message has to get through. The hospitals are not positive. The COVID is not in the hospital. The COVID is in the community.
Okay.
In the hospital, there are very strict practices, and it is we as patients and we as healthcare providers who have to follow those practices. So the social distancing, you have to stand apart, which we don't like to.
We
You
want
have
everybody to
to.
listen to this carefully as
Okay,
well.
so we
yeah.
should stand apart, even if we are, neighbors, we should stand apart.
Right.
We should sit apart. Then when we go to the doctor, we should not go very close to the doctor. You should maintain a distance and talk to that doctor from a distance. And the wearing of mask is mandatory for the patient,
Okay.
for the accompanying person, and for the doctor, and all the healthcare workers, the receptionists, the IR, everybody has to wear a mask. So if these messages are followed, COVID is not going to be transmitted in more than 90% of cases. So the hospitals are not spreading COVID. The COVID is in community.
Definitely.
It's
And if
everywhere.
you are responsible, you have to seek care in the hospital.
Exactly.
And
You
never
want to add some?
and never underestimate the impact of wearing a mask. It has been
course.
like the data has been showing again and again that the cluster epidemics which were spread, they were all in those gatherings or in those situations where the people were not wearing, and you are very highly likely to contract the disease if you don't. And
Right.
the mass gatherings in which it was not made compulsory, or in institutions in which it was not, the odds were seen of the epicenter being the epicenter and
Hotspot of COVID,
or
actually.
hotspot,
Yes,
exactly.
absolutely.
So for us, it seems like okay, we can ignore it, but it's in fact, I would like to share one more thing. Like this article I was just reading through a few days back. Like there were two hairdressers, and they contracted the disease, and all the family members of them also contracted. They became positive,
Okay.
and surprisingly, none of their clients became positive.
Oh.
So why was that? They were curious to know. So then it was realized that because they were wearing the mask at the workplace, it was mandatory at the workplace to wear the mask. So see the difference. All the family members came positive because they were not wearing the mask at home. So even if it is a cloth mask, you don't need those fancy valved N95 or anything, you know.
Right.
Even if it's as simple as a headscarf or a
Something that
simple
just
neck
contains
scarf.
your particles that may
That's
carry
it,
germs.
exactly.
So it's particularly about following the SOPs as well, and we truly agree to it. And I think that people really need to learn about its importance, because second wave is already here, ladies and gentlemen, and there's a spike in the number of cases every day. But very quickly, Professor Saida, I just want a yes or a no, since you are a major contributor to the population, alhamdulillah. You're one of the most senior gynecologists over here within the Twin Cities as well. So is stress one of those factors due to which you might not even conceive? Is it a yes or a no?
Definitely,
Yeah.
yes.
Yes, it's a yes. So, ladies and gentlemen, to talk about this further, we're very lucky that we've actually been joined by a consultant psychiatrist. She's one of our favorites as well. She's Dr. Mariam Hashim Mubashir. She's online with us. We'll be in conversation with her. Assalamu alaikum, Dr. Saiba. How are you?
Ji, walaikum assalam, Shahzad. Thank you so much for having me on board. It's a pleasure to be here.
It's our pleasure. So we're talking about mothers who are expecting through this pandemic and how they should be really safe. Well, we were reading actually, people who have contracted the virus or actually are going through it as well. More than 20% of them are going to have some sort of a psychiatric disorder. And Dr. Saib over here just mentioned that stress actually can cause, first of all, for you not to conceive. And if you have conceived, it may cause problems as well if you're still in distress. How to manage that, first of all, and are there any exercises or any supplements or something that an expecting mother should do during this time?
Okay, thank you for having me on board. Okay, first we need to keep in mind that since we're talking about the pandemic here, the fact of the matter is that COVID is a very contagious illness. And considering there's a lot of fear, and the fear of impending doom is something that could cause further stress in women delivering at this time during the pandemic. Apart from, doesn't necessarily have to be COVID circumstances. We have to keep in mind that gender disparity and the role of mental illnesses in women in a gynecological setting has, it's a great cause that you have to work on, considering that gender is a clinical determinant of mental health. And factors like infertility, polycystic ovaries, and the role of postnatal illness is very important as well. For example, if 100 women come to us, out of which we have a problem of infertility in 30%, as Madam mentioned, stress in itself causes even constriction of tubes. So even somatization and symptoms, physical symptoms, come up as a result of underlying depressive illness, mood disorders in women. So absolutely there's a role of that. And then during all life transitions of women through menopause, whether it's premenstrual, whether the onset of menarche, and women who've undergone faced violence, gender determination, gender bias in women. These are all factors, post-traumatic stress disorder, that further causes stress and causes infertility and other gynecological problems in women.
Adding to that, Dr. Mariam, what I wanted to ask over here was that, a few of these which you actually highlighted are very individualistic problems as well. But not just that, over here within our own society, we see that there are a million other pressures coming from either way as well. It might be from husband's family and it might be from the wife's family as well. Right. So to tackle with all of those problems in the first place, then having underlying stress, and then God forbid having, whatever, problems you were highlighting, don't you think it makes it difficult for the couple to actually sustain all of that pressure and come at par with the expectation of the entire family? How does it have an impact on the general health of the couple?
Or the relationship, actually.
Relationship,
Absolutely.
yeah.
We need to keep in mind that it involves a very complex interplay of not only hormonal, social, psychological, cultural factors based on the biopsychosocial model. And if it remains frequent and if it's undetected, untreated, it's going to further influence the outcomes, not only in the basis of the intimacy of the relationship, but with impaired social occupational functioning and effect on the entire family at large. So, of course, if you talk about how to curb it, the four most important thing is to sort of build evidence on the prevalence and the sanctity of the problem. And that is one factor that would sort of mediate as protective factors to prevent further perpetuation of stress in these women and the families as a whole, and even the husband. You have to understand the impact on both the couple, the man and the woman in the house. And then, of course, formulation and implementation of policies which would address difficult needs and the women's needs at different stages and transitions, including important issues like infertility and further related gynecological issues. I would also suggest the most important thing it should always be a multi-collaborative approach. The role of a gynecologist, the role of a psychiatrist or mental health professional, and, in Pakistan and in other rural setups, we're actually quite blessed to have these ayahs and people working under who are actually gatekeepers and help women in improving their healthcare settings. For example, you have to keep in mind that the role of decentralizing and destigmatizing these illnesses, including infertility, and keeping in mind, for example, it's very common when you go to a rural setup, you would find out that, if the woman has given birth to a daughter, it's going to be a big problem for her. So sort of educating the family about the role of the man in sort of even provision of the sperm, if I may say so, is something that you are leading to through psychoeducation. So I think that could be one strategy. And then decentralizing healthcare services from urban setups to rural setups, because that's where most of the population in Pakistan is.
Okay, thank you so much, Dr. Mariam. This was actually really insightful as well. And yes, I think we all agree socioeconomic factors do play a role in whatever is going to happen in the future as well. But now, coming back to you, ma'am, I'm not trying to generalize, but I have seen this happen in the past few months just. A lot of young girls who got married, with me, conceived and lost the conception, had a miscarriage, right? Unfortunately so. What may be the reasons? Again, maybe this can be a general answer, but my understanding of it goes, and you have to answer it as a yes or no as well. Does stress add to losing the baby in a premature age as well?
It can, but it's not that important. In young, healthy women who conceive, there's about 5 to 10% chance that she will miscarry.
But that's less, right?
That's about not more than 10% chance random. Any girl gets pregnant, she has a 10% chance that she'll miscarry. And that's a blessing of Allah, because these are the children which are not normal. These are those that are not healthy. And that's the nature's way of not letting it progress. So again, it is not the issue of the mother not looking after herself, or maybe having a lot of garam things and wrong things she's done, and she went out and there was the solar eclipse or something had happened. All those things that you listen to. So none of those things, and majority of miscarriages are random, and what we advise is wait for 6 months, try again, and you'll have another baby. Just relax.
Well, inshallah, definitely so. But ma'am, one thing, when we talk about a miscarriage, losing an unborn child for that mother, not for the people around them, is actually as painful as losing anyone close to her as well. And then to conceive again, to go through that, I think it's a huge and a long mental process as well. How can the people around them make it easier for them? Any of you can
We
answer.
generally have a very simplistic solution to these problems, because we are basically, we still of a rural mind. So we always say, the moment you lose a baby, just quickly produce another baby, everything will be
try
fine.
again,
Get over
yeah.
it.
But I always explain to the mothers who've lost their babies either through miscarriage or through a normal birth, that you need a break of 6 months. Please grieve for the loss you've had, and then enter into a pregnancy in good mental and physical health. The
And it's healthy
WHO
to grieve.
it is healthy to grieve, and she should be encouraged to grieve, and the couple should be, because the man is equally grieving.
Of course,
But
of
in
course.
our culture, in all cultures in the world, the men are supposed to be very stoic. They're never supposed to show emotions. They are going through the same process, and I think grieving is so much better, and we should basically wait 6 months after a miscarriage to have another baby, and about 2 years. Once we've had a baby, inshallah, she'll be fine. The baby is fine. If the baby is not well, don't rush into a pregnancy. Get over physically and mentally, then go for a new pregnancy.
And it is very important, ladies and gentlemen, if you're out there, if you're listening to us today, please make sure that you rest yourself. And I think it is very important for anybody to rest themselves. You know, for example, just yesterday, I'm very sorry that I bring back examples from my gym, and it might not be very relevant. But so I went to the gym after 4 or 5 days, and I was ill. I was on the bed. I wasn't even on the show. But yesterday when I went to the gym, I kind of did, my workout was very good. In fact, it was better than before, because I've rested myself, you know, my muscles were working properly, and then there were more chances of me performing well. So I think that this is particularly the mindset, or this needs to be the mindset for the people who actually need to have a baby. And in the first place, I think everybody needs to ask themselves, why do they want themselves a baby in the first place? I think that we're all having babies because it's a characteristic Allah has bestowed upon us,
not really.
and we just take full advantage of it.
I think in
but,
most-
but moving on to her, what I wanted to know was, do you think that this psyche is right? Resting yourself first and then giving out some extraordinary results.
Yes, definitely. The body, go for the basics always. Do not always go for the bigger solutions or the bigger picture. Always go for the basics. Get your body some rest. Give it some time. Start the exercise, normal exercise like you just mentioned, gym. Go for the diet. Give your body time to heal. Give yourself time to heal. Give your family members time to heal, and get over it. It will get over it on its own. Nature has given the body the power to heal on its own, and why not? Like, if we just, like I was just going through, if you just correct your basic health habits, basic exercise, or like we are talking about women and getting pregnant, it is seen that if they just correct their basic deficiencies, basic dietary habits, they change their dietary habits, nearly 80 to 97%. Like 97% is a big number. So yeah, so 90% are found vitamin D deficient. So that is something so basic, and we tend to ignore it. So
85% of the population in Pakistan is vitamin D deficient.
exactly. So
Is
even
it the
that
quality
could
of
be a
sun here?
exactly. So that's the answer. That's a question everybody asks, that we have plenty of sunlight. Then why is that so?
Because we have plenty of clothes too.
Covered clothing, and then sun avoidance behavior. Just going for the right complexion, or in general, even for the boys, for the males, we have a general tendency to stand under the shade. A general tendency to even the
Yeah, I've heard a lot of
people.
mothers saying, "Shade mein khade ho, sai mein khade ho, rang kala ho jayega." Come on, yeah.
And you know,
Even the health conscious people who take a walk every day, they say, oh, I'm very health conscious, and I take the walk early in the morning, 8 o'clock, 7 o'clock, or later in the evening when the sun is not so up high. That's the main mistake that we are doing these days. That I want to highlight, that the sun that you need to allow your body to synthesize vitamin D, that's from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. And that's the main time.
And that's when we shut the windows.
Exactly. That's the main time that we avoid the sun in the first place. So just go out, get some sun, get some sunlight.
And feel fresh.
And feel fresh. Those have so much better impact, and even fresh air. mean, it was seen that COVID, even if you're talking about COVID, COVID was more spread in places which were indoors. So we are seeing it more in the Western countries where we have air-conditioned environments, closed.
It traveled from China to Pakistan. It's
Yes.
not indoor. I think it's outdoor. It's everywhere as well. We'll come back to this. But we'll come back to this. But ladies and gentlemen, we definitely have to go out towards a short break. But there's this very amazing argument which I think is in between the old age Saas and the new age Bahu.
Okay.
And that is that Bahu, when I was your age, I had 5 kids and I used to do all the house chores as well. And you still can't pull one. So let's talk about this. We're going for a short break. Don't go anywhere. Good morning.
Welcome back to Well This Morning, ladies and gentlemen, where today we are very dedicated to raising awareness and actually sort of educating the expecting mothers especially and their family members on how to make sure to give them the best of care during this process.
Exactly. But ladies and gentlemen, before heading out towards a short break, we actually wanted to do a debate. Well, not really a debate because we're not left with a lot of time on our clock, ladies and gentlemen, but we wanted to ask that, you know, an old age Saas would say to a new age Bahu that, Putra, you know, I used to have 5 kids, do all the house chores, and you still cannot have a baby, which obviously is very depressing for a new age Bahu.
Right.
But it's not at all for an old age Saas. So let's start with the argument. Yes, please.
I think we are not as physically active as our elders were.
All right.
But I think with the current practices, the girls are often exercising more. Depends on what status of society you're belonging to.
Yeah.
So a healthy lifestyle, regular exercise, that brings a baby earlier. That gives you better health. And the most important message I would like to give our girls is take folic acid supplement before you get pregnant and continue it for the first 3 months of pregnancy.
Yeah.
Your baby will have less defects. It will be healthier.
Okay.
A simple folic acid which costs you 10 paisas can give it so much of better health. So whenever the girls come in, they are 3 months pregnant, they're ready to take folic acid. I say you should have started 6 months ago. You wanted a baby for 1 year, but you should start folic acid.
Okay.
And the other point is that COVID is a constant worry. Please take all precautions, and I would ask our men to take precautions. Currently in our country and in all countries, the men are getting COVID more than women, perhaps because they go out of the house
Probably,
more.
yes.
And somehow the mortality among men is also higher. And we have to, as women, be protected as well by the good practices of the men and of the women who go out of home.
Exactly.
So
Agreed.
we have to make sure women who are pregnant get antenatal care.
Yeah.
There are very clear recommendations both from the UK and from Pakistan that minimum of 8 visits are required in pregnancy. So do not slip on those visits. Maybe you can cut down to 6 and maybe have 1 or 2 on distance or maybe with a phone, but a minimum of 6 to 8 visits are necessary.
And Google is not your doctor. Just
No, it is
Not at all, yeah. Please never consult Google, because once I consulted Google and Google said that I'll be dead in 23 days, so please don't do that. But moving back to Dr. Saida over here, I think that this is very important for anybody who's actually married out there and for their married life as well. Now, what I have observed over here is that when women, they do get pregnant, they want to eat whatever they want to eat. Other than that, they're on a strict diet and they're not eating as much as they're eating while they're pregnant. But the problem comes once the baby's delivered, they're still eating. They're not working out, and they are actually 40 kgs probably more than what they actually used to weigh before the baby as well, and they're not really looking into it. Do you think that it will destroy their health, or it will be actually helpful for them to conceive another baby?
Well, maintaining healthy habits, nobody can underestimate their importance.
Absolutely.
Obviously, maintaining healthy diet and not going for junk, we cannot overemphasize how important that is. So, but gaining weight, let her eat. Let her get over the physical trauma, I would say, that her body has gone through. So instead of, I would disagree with what you just said, that
Right,
she's
cut her
eating
some
everything.
slack.
Yes, like she's just eating everything. So let her eat for the first few months. She needs that. The baby needs that. She's eating for 2, I would say. So I always encourage, like, eat as much as you want, whatever you want. It's not just you who you are eating for; it's the baby also. So
You missed my
yes.
point. My point was that, you know, you eating
After,
while you're
yes.
pregnant is fine. But
Yes,
once the
but
baby
even
is
after,
delivered, you're still eating.
If
and
you're
you're not
lactating,
making sure that you're going to reduce the weight you've put up on. And I think that it will be very disturbing for anybody.
I would
yes.
agree with her as well as you.
Okay.
The weight gain that the woman does in pregnancy especially is to help her during lactation.
Yeah.
Yes.
And as she lactates, that weight gradually drops off. So she doesn't have to have desi ghee in mounds and mounds and not take the chicken and not take the fruits.
Yeah.
And taking the fruits is the good part. Don't take juices. They make you fat.
All right.
Take
wow,
the fruit.
I never heard that before.
Take the fruit.
Okay.
The juices have, you know, sugars from 4 apples.
Yeah.
While you eat an apple, you cannot eat more than an apple.
In fact, a research, In fact, a research just recently said that for women, added sugar is more harmful than cholesterol. Like it has the same
Blocks
impact,
up,
just like cholesterol for men. So for women, added sugars were more harmful, and they led to the cardiac diseases on that. So women, take care of your sugar, and men, take care of your oily karhai and kormas.
Yeah.
Makes sense. But I think this was, well, I think you answered pretty well.
Very
That does,
insightful.
yeah, absolutely makes sense. Thank you so much for being here, you amazing ladies. And I think we did early in the morning help a lot of, well, you know, minds out there who had a lot of questions as well.
Yeah.
So,
And since I'm just of an inquisitive nature, there's just one last thing which I would want to ask you, and it's totally at your discretion whether you want to answer this or not. But since I've you know, labeled you as a major contributor to the population, if we are to look at a number, what's the number of babies you brought into this world?
I brought only one.
Only
one boy.
one?
Yes. So I haven't added to the population of this country.
I was talking about you being a gynecologist. That's
My personal effort is my one son.
Mashallah.
But alhamdulillah, I think I've had the privilege of assisting so many couples
Mashallah.
through a very happy process. And it is such a rewarding profession.
Isn't it?
That whenever I teach my medical students, I say it has the pleasure of surgery, it has the pleasure of medicine, and bringing hope and happiness.
And life.
Because life.
Yes.
So majority people deal with illnesses. Half of our population in pregnancy is totally healthy.
Yeah.
And it is such a positive activity, and I'm so privileged to be an obstetrician and gynecologist.
Mashallah.
thank you so much for saying that.
Wonderful.
You're so sweet, actually. You know, just everything you say makes sense as
Yeah.
well. So, ladies and gentlemen, this was our effort, you know, a tiny one actually at our part to well educate everyone out there who maybe had questions in their mind.
Yeah.
I myself learned a lot, to be honest. Did
Yeah,
you?
I've learned a lot too, ladies and gentlemen, but I think I've been through the process since,
Oh, yeah.
alhamdulillah, I have
Mashallah.
been bestowed with 3 blessings, ladies and
Mashallah.
gentlemen. And I'm very thankful, I'm very helpful as well. And it is because of these amazing learned women or men at the same time in the same field who actually keep on telling us, keep on making us all aware about what the health facts needs to be and how we really need to be prepared, or probably how we need to prepare for the exam. Ladies and gentlemen, please make sure that you look after your loved ones as well. This old age saas and new age bahu, or the new age bahu, or the new age saas will always be there. These factors are going to be around us as well, because we live in a community, we live in a culture, and we
Definitely.
just cannot leave that behind. I think we need to be mentally prepared for all of these challenges and be hopeful and always be praying to Allah Almighty, because it all comes from Allah Almighty, ladies and gentlemen. That's what I believe in as well. We hope that everybody is going to have a great day.
Yeah.
Please make sure that you write to us on our Facebook page, which is with the name of,
Well, this morning.
on Twitter,
Well, this morning without a G.
on Daily Motion and YouTube.
It's PTV World, and then you look for World this morning.
The fabulous repeat's going to be at
5 past midnight tonight.
till the next time. 1, 2, 3. Good morning.
Stay safe.